Today I am doing a task of reorganizing my bookshelf that's behind me. So I have this behind me here. I have a shelf space in my bedroom, and then I have a cart that I use for my plants, but the two bottom shelves are also used for my books. So I am trying to organize and getting them all together. A daunting task, but I think it can be done. So that's what we're gonna be doing. Hopefully, I am aiming for 30 minutes. Let's see how that works. Just FYI, taking the books down is the most overwhelming thing ever. So I think I'm going to do my plan that I've done before in the past. So in the past, when my bookshelf was actually just this top one only, I had everything color coded. So essentially I just did the colors of the rainbow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this bottom shelf as is, start putting things in color coded formation, and then I'm just gonna move books around to fill and go from there. I think that my brain will just do that. Hi, it's the next day. I underestimated how long it would take to organize a bookshelf. It is a lot of work, and I was frustrated yesterday with just the task in itself. It all worked out though, so I kind of organized the books by color, and then from there I moved like hardbacks over to a different location, some in my bedroom. So yeah, here's a look a little bit. So kind of did an okay job. The hardest part is like getting these dark books in order. I do have to fix them because some of them like are sticking out, like the one next to the dune kind of sticking out, but I gotta work on that, fix it. But So far, so good. Also, watching Jingle Jangle. If you have not watched it, what are we doing here? It's such a great Christmas musical. So here's a bookshelf. And then I have some books up here, some hardbacks that I put here, kind of sort of in color. There's no organization to this cart. Mind you, okay, first, I wanna say I got this cart for my plants. Look at this beautiful leaf coming. And had no idea that people were using this as their TBR cart. I was using it as my plant holder. But this is everything for like leadership, Bible studies, Christian fiction, and then my Bible's down there. So there's no organization to this, but this is where I place them. So that's it in regards to bookshelf. It is a daunting task. I have to make sure that when I put books back, to make sure they're organized again, nothing too crazy. Right now, we're gonna chat a little bit about some books that I have read in the last few days, and then books I'm about to read, going into Christmas, vacation, New Year's, all that stuff. So it's great. I'm excited. Come join. Okay, we're gonna talk about 2 books that I've just read. So I'm doing the 10 before the end, really excited, very ambitious task, but here we are. So let's talk about the first book that I read. I read it on my Kindle, The Striker by Ana Huang. Okay, so let me start here. I have enjoyed her series in the past. Love them. They're easy reads. They're just fun romance novels. You don't have to dive deep, analyze anything. And something, I want to talk positive first, okay? Not trying to I wasn't a big fan of this book. I love a good sports romance book. This specifically talking about football, not American football, football, like what everyone else in the world calls it, but us Americans. Anyway, don't want to get on a tangent. So I appreciated like reading the author's note and knowing that she took her time. She really found people to help kind of give better insight of particular topics within the book. So example would be, of course, this is about a football player, so she may not know a lot about football. So she reached out to people to get better insight and understanding about his specific position on the field. How should the game actually take place? And that's really important for an author to do that type of research and not just like write a book just because it's romance novel, all that stuff. I really appreciate that. The other one that she did research on, so the main female character, she has an injury, and essentially the injury is due to an accident that she had years prior. And so she had to do her own research, like what does this actually look like? Her daily life, what could possibly happen in the future, what ailments will she have to go through daily, and what things she needs to consider because of the situation. So she did a great job with all of that. I have to give that to her. I appreciate that in an author who does that research and does it well and ensures that like what they're talking about throughout the book is correct, especially when it comes to football, and then of course when it comes to medical illnesses. Now, when it comes to the plot, what did I have an issue with? I had an issue with the older brother. Also, spoiler, because I'm not going to try to like not spoil this book. I'm so sorry. So if you want to read this book and you don't want any spoilers, and you don't want any spoilers, go somewhere, but come back. But anyways, the issue I had was the fact that these are grown adults. Like they're all supposed to be in their late 20s, I believe. And the whole thing about this book is brother, sister. This is not best friend, sister. This is supposed to be an enemy or rival. In this book, it is a rival, sister. And so for me, I had an issue with this because they're not teenagers, they are grown adults, and they're hiding their relationship from this brother. For me, I get it, like you're a famous football player, you don't want your relationship to be out there in the universe. So I get that, hide it away from the paparazzis, from other people. But then when it's like, I don't know how he's gonna behave, I don't know what he's gonna do, blah, blah, blah. Y'all are grown. This is like behavior of a high school person. So like, please miss me with that. Immediately miss me with that. Vincent, the brother, I was not a fan of his behavior, how he was like, I'm a big brother, I'm gonna protect you. And it's like, yeah, she got into a really bad accident that now like causes a lot of pain. Her dreams were taken away from her, understood. But like, she doesn't need you to protect her. Like people go through ups and downs of a relationship. It would be nice to be like, okay, like you're dating my sister, I'm not a big fan of you, which is a dumb reason. His reason for not being a fan of Asher is so, like, to me, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, Asher has more reason to be pissed at you than you have at him. So anyways, yeah, Vincent, his behavior, it was just like very toxic in my opinion. Not a fan of it. When it comes to like their rivalry, again, is just ego, right? I didn't like the rivalry whatsoever. It made zero sense to me. Asher, if I was on the pitch and I went through what Asher went through, valid. His anger towards Vincent, completely valid. Spoiler alert, I warned you before. Essentially, Asher is upset with Vincent because he faked an injury, and then that caused Asher to get a red card and be taken out of the game. To that action of a red card and Asher being taken out of the game, the team that Vincent was on won the World Cup. That's huge. Like, if you know the World Cup, you know how big it is for not only just the team, but for the community, for the program, organizations, for the country, all that. And so that's a valid reason. It happens all the time. When you watch football, you see it all the time. And so that was Asher's reason for being pissed at Vincent. And then for Vincent, he's mad at Asher because Asher just seems to get away with everything. Nothing that Asher particularly did to Vincent, or did at all. Asher did nothing to Vincent. All he did was minded his own business. He happened to get, like, you know, the pretty card privilege. And so he's able to go through life and nothing bad happens to him. He gets zero consequences. And instead of being punished, he gets traded into this team that is now with Vincent, and he gets a good payday. I'm sorry, you're mad at him? Okay, cool. Like, I wasn't a fan of Vincent whatsoever. Let's see. Scarlett is the main female character. Loved her storyline. Essentially, she was a prima ballerina, and she got into an accident and lost the ability to be a professional professional ballerina, a ballet performer. And then now she teaches. And the whole premise of the book is that she ends up training her brother and Asher because they are going through their own little, like, drama, and their coach is like, okay, if you guys can't work together on the pitch, I'm gonna make you train together over the summer. They're doing cross training with Scarlett, and that's kind of how things develop, you know. And then Vincent has to go away, and then Asher comes. Asher and Scarlett get close due to the fact that it's basically close proximity. Like, there's all these little things in this book that I'm just like, it's good, a great concept, I love it, but it just seemed not only too predictable, but I just didn't like all the main characters. Like, I didn't love Vincent. Asher was just like a pretty boy that, like, I guess loved Scarlett and was like, had moments of like, oh, that's cute. And then Scarlett, to me, I was just annoyed with how she kind of behaved with her brother. It's like, I think it would be different for me if it was like, let's say the dad or mom never existed for both Vincent and Scarlett, and Vincent raised Scarlett up, and essentially, like, that's kind of like his pseudo daughter. I guess that would make sense. It's just like, girl, Scarlett, you're grown. Like, your brother has no weight on you. Respect him. Yeah, let him know, like, hey, the guy that you don't like, I'm actually dating him. Get over yourself. But to be like, I don't know, oh my God, and you guys are fighting in the hospital room, like, spare me. It was very frustrating to read, to go through. As you can tell, I'm just ranting at this point. I'm all for, like, okay, let's keep reading. Let's see. This is part of a series. I believe this is part of the Gods of the Game series. And the next book is supposed to be Vincent's story. So let's hope that, like, he finds his redemption in that book. But I really wasn't a fan of how the characters were. It's just unrealistic to me. You guys are grown. Communicate with one another. That's kind of like what this was too. Like, I am not a fan of, like, miscommunication tropes whatsoever. And even though it wasn't miscommunication between the two main characters, it was miscommunication between everyone else around them. And that, to me, was just like an annoyance. I was just like, this could have been solved. You could have texted your brother while he was in another country and then have him fume and whatever. And then when he gets back, he's settled. Like, this didn't need to be a whole thing. And here we are. There were some lessons in the book, you know, like that. Those things I try to take away. If there's a book I do not like or enjoy, I try to take something away from it. So with this book in particular, there were moments of trauma for all of these individuals. So with Scarlett, it was like, how do you continue to push through when basically your body is saying we can't continue, we can't move on. And so you just see her going through months of just like pushing herself, training to just like perform in like a showcase that really was just for her and her community. And so I think there is an aspect of that where we can take those lessons and learn and use it in our real life. So there's that. Asher goes through a moment of like, we get to see a little bit of vulnerability when he talks about his best friend and losing the best friend and how that played out in his life and mentally how that took a toll on him. I enjoy that storyline, and I love that it was there. It did only take place towards the end. Like, there were mentions of it throughout the book, but it was only towards the end where you get to see it fully play out when the main male character is like being like struck by like reality. Like, what are you gonna do about this situation that you put yourself in? Why are you in this situation? What got you here in the first place? What trauma did you like push back into your subconscious that you didn't allow to fully be healed? And that's the reason why you are where you are today. And so I enjoy that storyline of Asher and Scarlett, their traumas, and then how they kind of try to figure out a way to overcome it and work through it, and essentially how they can work through it together. Because when you're in a relationship, you are working with one another in these situations and trying to heal so that way you can grow and be better partners with one another. Anyways, that was a long rant for a book that I didn't like. So let's continue to a book I actually did enjoy. In order to avoid ranting about a book, I'm gonna tomorrow enjoy this book. I would recommend this book wholeheartedly. This has been a book that was sitting on my bookshelf for such a long time. And then this past summer, a teacher that I worked with, when we were discussing, in like your small groups, like talk about time in the summer, whatever. So we talked about books we read, and this was a book she recommended. I enjoyed this book. I did not expect it to be a book that would like really allow me to think deeply, and it was. It essentially is a book about friendship, about how gaming kind of is a way to escape reality, and how gaming can also be a way to articulate how you feel about life. There is like a famous, of course, line, because this is all about Macbeth, but they mention like Macbeth, they may mention the Iliad, and so you can tell there's an artistic point of view when it comes to articulating how these people feel about life and feel about just the encounters that they have. Sam and Sadie are the two main characters throughout this book, and it's also Marks as well, who's mentioned, who has also a big portion of his character is the reason why Sadie and Sam are kind of where they are today. This book made me cry towards the end. There were just moments of it that I was like, wow, these characters are really dealing with a lot of trauma. For me, I love to see in books where characters are dealing with tragedy and to see how they are able to overcome it. And in this book, we see it multiple times how both these characters go through their own set of like trauma, death, chaos, and how those situations are affecting their current friendships and their current relationships. So in this book, it was brilliant. I love the writing of it. I love the title and how it references Macbeth. I love the character Marks, I believe, is that how you pronounce it? And how he just mentions, so his whole take about life essentially and how it correlates to the game is like life, you get one life, right? But in the game, and why games are so brilliant and amazing, is because like you still get to have tomorrow. You still get another chance to redeem yourself. And essentially like that's what we all should be doing when we have day-to-day things. It's like, okay, tomorrow is a new day. Tomorrow is gonna be a new possibility. Tomorrow I'll be able to pass this test. Tomorrow I'll be able to encounter this relationship. Tomorrow I'll be able to like step into this conflict and work through it. I love this book. I love the message behind it. I love the gaming references. A lot of people said it was like very pretentious type of book. And I believe like for me, when I was reading these characters, I was like, of course they would be, right? They were gamers to begin with. So they are essentially like just nerds, quote unquote nerds, in the best way possible. And then they make a beautiful game together and they make loads of money, right? They are intelligent gamers who like, of course they're gonna be pretentious. Of course they're gonna be like this. And then something, it wasn't mentioned in the book at all, but I went to, good old Reddit because I was like, Sam, the way he socializes with others, interacts with others, you can kind of see there's a little bit of like, he possibly on the spectrum, maybe. And so a lot of people on Reddit who also identify as artistic mentioned that Sam was a relatable character to them because of how he navigated the world and was very similar to how they navigated. And they appreciated that of Sam and appreciated that his character was developed in that way. So very much, I love Tomorrow. Sadie did irk me, and I didn't want that to happen. I really was like, okay, maybe like I'm pushing it too much. But Sadie, she bothered me a bit. She bothered me with like her decisions. And for me, I didn't know if it was, okay, she just didn't have enough experience. She was young and naive. But for it to continue as long as it did, like what her decisions were, I was like, girl, you're definitely smarter than that. But here we are. Okay, so that's my rant. Literally rant about those two books. I didn't think I had that much to say. I probably don't. Like, it's probably just nonsense and just noise, but those are my thoughts. And now I am about to just like relax and breathe. We are on school break and vacation. It's the best time for me to just catch up on reading. And so before I like get into the rest of my time before the end, I'm taking a pause on that. I am going to be reading The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. I'm really excited just to dive into that. Spending about like an hour today diving into this thing. I am waiting for a ride, going for a Christmas dinner. I'm just gonna read for a little bit, maybe for 10, 15 minutes, just to get a couple of pages in.